Hey guys, back here with another video, and I am gonna review Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, finally. I just rewatched like the first 3 episodes on Friday, and then I watched episodes 4 through 10 on about 2 days ago, and then I just finished watching the last 11 episodes today, and now I'm finally gonna give my review on the perfect day before October ends, because at the time I'm recording this, it's Halloween, and I hope everybody had a good Halloween. And also, there will be no spoilers for the start of the video. I will give you a warning when we go into spoilers. Then that way, if you haven't watched it, you will know that when the spoilers are coming. And I have to say, this season was super awesome. Like, I just have to say, everyone, please, as a Halloween treat, if you haven't watched the show already, go out and watch it. But I'm pretty sure the majority of people who are watching this have already seen the show. But if you haven't, then please watch this show. It's so good. Man, I'm so excited for season 5. But anyway, let's get started with the review. Now, number 1, Ghost Rider was amazing. I loved Ghost Rider in this show. They did him so well. I absolutely loved Ghost Rider. And when I heard that Ghost Rider was gonna be in season 4, I was super excited, and that's what got me into watching the series. But when I heard that it wasn't gonna be the first Ghost Rider, which was Johnny Blaze, when I heard that the Ghost Rider in the show was gonna be Robbie Reyes, I didn't know what to think. But then when I watched season 4, Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider was amazing. I absolutely loved it. Now, let's. The one thing I really enjoyed from the show was the change of character. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying that the characters don't automatically like change, but they make like some slight changes with some of the characters, like with Daisy from going to an Agent of Shield, from now going to a vigilante known as Quake, and then you have Phil Coulson, who's no longer the director of Shield and just agent of Shield, and that's something I really loved about this season of Agents of Shield. Like some of the new characters we get introduced to are great. Like Robbie Reyes, great character. Also, if you guys remember from season 3, Dr. Radcliffe, I think that's how you pronounce his name, plays a really huge, important role in this season. And they do it so well. And some of the other new characters that we get introduced to, like Jeffrey Mace, who is the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D., is really good, and we'll talk about him in spoilers, obviously. So there's some really good and interesting stuff about that character once we get to spoilers. But as for the story was it was great. I absolutely love the story, and I love the characters, and I love how we get some new character development with each of the characters, which is something I really appreciate from this show. And the villains are so good. Like, I won't say who the villains are, but they were great. But that's pretty much it for spoiler free. And I almost forgot. I have to go ahead and give my score now before I go ahead and get into spoilers. For those who haven't seen the show, are wondering what my score is for the show out of 10. So, surprisingly, again, just like with all the seasons, I'm going to give this one a very positive 10 out of 10. This just blew me away. Now going on to talk about spoilers, so click off if you haven't seen the show already, which I'm sure pretty much everyone has, but click off if you haven't. So let's talk about some of the characters first before we talk about some of the other stuff. And I'm not going to try to talk about anything major. I'm just giving my thoughts on some of the things I enjoyed and some flaws, which I don't really have a lot of flaws. Anyway, let's talk about some of the characters. So first, before I talk about some of the characters, I want to say this is something that the show does really well, is that they always throw these like surprise twists at you, and that's what they do in season 4. And what I mean by that is, for example, in season 1, when we get introduced to Grant Ward, and a lot of people, myself included, were worried that he was going to be that type of character that was going to be very serious and can take on anybody, but just doesn't share his feelings with anyone. If you guys know what I'm talking about, that's what I was feeling like he was gonna become. But surprisingly, he didn't. He didn't become a flawed character, because the thing that made him so good was that twist where he was Hydra the entire time, and that's what made him such a great character, and that's what saved his character. And that's a big positive I have with the first season, because I really liked the character development, and I really loved the villain so much. And yeah, and they do some stuff like that as well, um, like with Robbie Reyes' uncle being bad the entire time, with trying to have obsession with getting power. I didn't expect that coming at all, with him being bad. And also with Dr. Radcliffe actually being bad as well. Is basically, for the story, Dr. Radcliffe creates this robot body for his AI, Ada. And since, since he did that, he creates this digital world, like just like the Matrix, to where there's this digital world, and then when you go into it, you have like an avatar. It's basically just like the Matrix, but the frame rate is basically this digital world that he wanted to create, so then people can make a world for people to where they don't have any regrets. And I thought that was something really cool for the story. But of course, things don't go well according to plan when Ada just takes over and just kills Dr. Radcliffe and has his consciousness trapped inside the frame rate, and just takes total control of the frame rate and just replaces everyone with robot versions of themselves. It's like the robot apocalypse. Man, this is just so good. Let's talk about some of the characters. So let's talk about Mac's character, because we get some character development with him in this season, which I really loved so much, because we actually get to learn a lot more about him, and we have some really good emotional moments with him. Like in during the show this season, we learn that he actually has a daughter, but sadly died and only lived for 4 days, which is really sad. And then when he gets put into the frame rate, thinking that his new life is his actual life, um, he has a daughter in that world. In that one scene where he figures out, or just sees, that the frame rate isn't the real world, and he figures out that Hope, which is his daughter, by the way, dies in the real world. He just doesn't leave, and he just stays in there for his daughter, and I can imagine what that must feel like. if I was in his shoes, I really loved his character development in this season. It's very strong, and we also get some really good character development. Like, we have this whole kind of love triangle with Fitz, Simmons, and um Ada. That whole what I'm trying to say is that that whole love triangle, kind of love triangle thing with them was pretty good. And man, I can't imagine how pissed Ada must have been in like the 21st episode when Fitz chooses Simmons over her when he had to choose one person to love in his life. He can't love two women. Man, she must have been so pissed. But yeah, that was really good. And we get some good character development with Phil Coulson and Agent May, which is good. We get to know a little bit more about the earlier missions before the events of the show. Because literally, I forgot these characters existed, but I actually forgot about Hunter and Bobby when I went and rewatched this season. I completely forgot about them. But uh because there's a rumor I think going on that they could return in season 5, which I would love to see them return in season 5 because they were good in season 2 and 3. But also, it just me Star Wars references. I loved loved the Star Wars references in the show. They're really good. I love them so much. Villains villains were great. You know, like the villain for the first half of the season, you know, like those ghosts and Reyes' uncle. I can't remember what his name was, but they were good villains. And I can kind of know how it feels in their shoes, especially with Robbie's uncle. And man, I just love that episode with where Robbie tells his brother that he's the writer. Like that episode I thought was really good. And also like that one episode where Robbie gets his chain and uses it for the first time to fight that inhuman that has firepower. That scene was so awesome. Love that episode. And I actually really love the episode called The Man Behind the Shield, where uh that episode I really loved so much. Man, I think the best episodes in this season, especially with that twist. We learn that some of the agents of Shield have been replaced by duplicates. That was just so good. And I also Mace. Now he was a great character in the show. I was a bit worried when I learned we get a new director in the MCU in the show, but he was actually a real character. Especially when we learn that he's inhuman, but he's not inhuman at all, and that he actually takes a serum in order for him to have super strength. But that within that is really good, and I love that episode. And this is like the 18th episode, the episode where he's in the frame rate, just holding all of that, you know, concrete that's the where the building is falling down on him. He's trying to hold it so then one of those kids can get out of there. That that episode and that scene was just really good. I absolutely loved that episode. One more thing I want to point out is I loved how when all of the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will, some of them anyway, have been put into the frame rate and have new lives to where they don't have regret over something that happened to them, was just really good because we get to see what it would be like if they didn't have those regrets. Like, for example, we get to see what it would be like for Mac if he didn't lose his daughter. He'd be having a good life with his daughter. And if May didn't kill that girl, she'd probably have a good life as well. And Phil Coulson, seeing what he would have been like if he didn't become an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he became a teacher. Like, that was really cool stuff that I really liked about the show. And I think that's something the show does really good at. But, and also, oh, it just dawned on me. I love how when Daisy goes into the framework, that we see a different, that we see Grant Ward, but with this version of Grant Ward, he's basically the opposite, to where he, we all think he's an agent of Hydra, but he's secretly an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like how in the show where we all thought he was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he turned out to be an agent of Hydra the entire time. And I loved how they did the other way around with Ward when we see him in the other world. The frame rate was just really cool because we could see what Ward would have been like if he was good, and that's something that was really great about the show. But that's pretty much it when it comes to spoilers for the show. And yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts for spoilers. I hope you guys do enjoy my thoughts on season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hope you guys like this video a lot. I just, happy Halloween, everyone. Hope you